Here's a pin tip for you. One of the finishing touches I like to put on games before I deliver to a customer or bring it into my game room is to install a nice, shiny new set of leg levelers on the game. There's a few different methods we can use to access them and some right and wrongs. We're going to show you how to do that. Let's take a look at a new leg leveler versus a very worn leg leveler. You can see with the worn leg leveler, of course, it's dirty, but it does have a very coarse and compressed surface on the foot. And also you can see a nice wear hole in the center there where the peg of the bolt has worn its way through. When we come to the top, we can see that the stamping here has also started to round out, which makes it a little difficult to turn these things in place, compared to a new leg leveler, which is nice and smooth, shiny, and is going to look a whole lot better underneath your game. Here are some different ways to access your leg levelers. 1. The knee. The stool. The turtle. My favorite method. Or the luxurious option, the pinball cart.
This one's mine.
Since we have this leg on the bench, it's a little easier to uninstall the leg leveler, but some of the methods I will use when underneath a game will be to spin the threads to unscrew the leg leveler, grab the foot and turn it that way. But if it is a little bit stuck, but it budges a little bit, the square peg at the end of the bolt that goes into the foot is 3/8 of an inch wide. You can try to slip a 3/8 inch wrench on there to unthread the leg leveler that way. Sometimes leg levelers can be stubborn. Sometimes they are rusted into the leg. They will not come out easy. You sat underneath with your 3/8 inch wrench and you've tried to turn off of the square peg and it is not budging. What do? I would absolutely recommend at that point to remove the game from the leg, and it's time to use some heavier artillery. Things that have worked for me in the past are either like a penetrating lubricant such as PB Blaster or heat using a torch. Sometimes putting the leg in a vise and using a wrench to try to remove the leg leveler. Some vice grips may work. If you have to put that much work into it, sometimes you will end up damaging the thread at the bottom of the leg. It might be worth it to consider new legs at that point. Pinball legs, especially the stamped steel versions, a 28.5 inch leg for a Williams game or a 30.5 inch leg for a Stern game are not very expensive. A nice new set of legs will make the game look great, and you won't have a damaged leg leveler hole to begin with. The magic of Novus 2. It does a really good job on like steel polished legs on like Williams games. It'll really make them shiny. There is a right and a wrong way to install a leg leveler on a leg. The position of the jam nut. The jam nut is supposed to go under the leg, so we will install that on our leg leveler first. What the jam nut does is once your leg leveler is installed and threaded into the leg, the jam nut will add a little bit of support and also keep the leg leveler from ever turning if the game is picked up and moved around at all. It'll secure the leg in its position. One pro tip I will give about the jam nut is to match this nut with the size of the leg bolt on your pinball game. Most modern pinball games will use a 5/8 inch diameter bolt, but it is easy to find 9/16 inch jam nuts in this thread size. Older Bally games will use a 9/16 inch leg bolt, and you can put a 9/16 inch jam nut on. Why? it is much easier to only use one wrench. If you do install your legs and you crawl underneath the game to then go level it, if you do need to get a different wrench, it can be a little frustrating. To get a basic sense of side-to-side level, sometimes I'll like to count the amount of threads sticking up above the top of the leg. If I were to count 10 threads here, 10 threads on the opposite side, I know that my balance left to right will at least be in the ballpark. Then we can get in and do the fine-tuning. But I'll get this matched up with the other, and we won't tighten the jam nut down until the game is perfectly level though, so don't tighten this just yet. Now that we've learned some different ways to get to our leg levelers, remember, the nut goes on the bottom, and don't forget to level your game.